Do you want to take control of your health? Hear the truth about dieting and weight loss? Learn the best strategies for maintaining a healthy lifestyle? This is the Yossi Muller Show.
And welcome to the show. I'm Yossi Muller.
And I'm Duddy Muller.
Duddy is a chef with a background in nutrition.
Yossi is a nutritionist with a background in nutrition.
Every show we do, we take another myth and debunk it.
We crush it.
Today's topic is maintenance. And what is maintenance? Maintenance is where you are no longer losing weight by creating a calorie deficit.
Instead, you are maintaining.
You are maintaining weight by consuming the same number of calories that you burn. And today's myth is when I'm done with my diet, I can eat normally again. And why? Why do I think I'll be able to eat normally and still maintain weight? Because I'm not trying to lose weight.
All I have to do is just not completely mess up.
How hard can that be already?
Right.
Even if it is hard, I work so hard to lose it. I'm not going to just mess it up by letting myself gain it back.
Right. I'm going to stop myself before anything bad happens. Yossi, how do you know that it's not true that you can just coast with regard to maintenance and eat normally and manage without a problem?
That's because only 1 in 50 people who are overweight actually lose and maintain their weight loss.
So at the end of the day, it just doesn't work.
Because maintenance doesn't happen as automatically as people think it does.
Yossi, aren't you worried that if you tell people that maintenance is not easy, they won't even try to lose weight in the first place?
I'm not, because the information I'm going to give to you today is valuable information for how you can be from the 1 in 50 people who maintain weight loss. It takes a specific type of training.
Right. You don't want someone to go through all the effort of losing weight and then gain it all back. So obviously, you need to train them to be ready for this. Why does it matter that people believe this myth?
Because if you think that you could just go and eat normal or somewhat normal and maintain weight without getting any special type of training, you will not be successful because only 1 in 50 people get that type of training. And we want you to get it as well.
Those are the people who will be successful. Why don't people get this training?
They don't get it because they think that they don't need to get it. After all, they believe that I can be normal and still maintain weight.
How do you know that people think that they don't need to get this training?
Because do you see anyone acting like they could care at all about maintaining weight loss? Think about it. What do people do for diets in order to lose weight? They make it a high priority. They focus. They follow a food plan. They weigh themselves regularly. Even if they don't feel like it, they go on the scale. They spend time, money, energy. You see anybody doing that for maintenance?
Nope.
You see people advertising all the time that they help people lose weight. You ever saw someone advertising, I help people maintain weight? Of course not, because there's no demand for it.
Because if there was any demand, someone would be out there trying to make money off it.
Clearly, people don't care to maintain weight. But what do you mean, I care? Okay, I'm talking about care enough that it actually happens. I'm talking about the scales version of caring. As far as the scale's concerned, people care enough to lose weight, but they don't care enough to maintain weight.
Because 49 out of 50 people are not able to sustain weight loss. Yossi, why is it that people can't just be normal and still maintain their weight loss? And also, why is maintenance harder than most people think?
So we'll give 4 reasons why maintenance is harder than most people think. 1, because you think it's easy, you lower your guard.
Oh, so just realizing that it's not easy actually increases your chances at success?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay. Just remember, it's not easy. That's already a step forward.
And 2, you weigh so much less. When you were losing weight, you weighed more than you weigh when you're trying to maintain weight.
Well, I should hope so.
So now at your new lower weight, you burn so many fewer calories per day than you did when you were heavier. So in order to maintain weight, you have to consume very, very few calories. And people don't realize just how little they're allowed to have if they want to maintain weight.
Because they think they're going back to normal, and normal to them, the last time they ate normal was a lot more than what normal should be now.
And they're also comparing normal to what they did to lose weight, and maintenance is so much more similar to dieting.
And 3,
you don't get any reward. It doesn't feel good to maintain weight. When you're losing weight, it feels good because you like losing weight. So you're able to deal with the dieting. In fact, you don't even realize how much you don't like dieting. You don't realize how deprived you are because you get such a high from losing weight. The reason why you're overweight is because you actually get a high from food. You appreciate the reward that food gives you. You appreciate the way you feel when you overeat. And when you lose weight, you're able to temporarily put it on hold, and you may not even feel it so much because you get such a high, you get such a good feeling from weight loss. But now you don't get to lose weight anymore. You get to only maintain weight, and you don't get to eat. Reason 4 is that maintenance doesn't end. So weight loss is much easier than maintenance in the sense that you have something to look forward to. It's a certain number of months, and maintenance is a certain number of years or decades.
So, Yossi, how hard exactly is maintenance?
That's a good question. We're saying that it's harder than most people think. So how hard is it? What actually is involved? So the answer is that it actually varies big time from person to person, and there's no universal level of difficulty. It depends.
So some people on one end will find it less difficult, but for some people it can be so incredibly difficult as food and eating completely take over their entire mindset. They become obsessed with food. You know the famous joke about someone who is so obsessed with food, all he can think about is food. A guy walks into a library and asks, "Can I have a pastrami sandwich?" When the librarian explains, "Sir, this is a library," he says, "Oh, sorry. Can I have a pastrami sandwich?" So that's someone who is really obsessed with food. So Yossi, what factors determine whether a person will have a difficult time during maintenance or not?
2 main factors are how much weight you lost. Like we discussed many times, the more weight you lose, the more difficult it will be to maintain. So someone who doesn't lose that much weight will not have such a hard time maintaining it.
Okay.
And the other factor is how similar your diet, your weight loss diet was to a proper maintenance plan. If the diet you are on is pretty similar to what you can sustain for life, then you're going to have a much easier time on maintenance. If your diet was very unusual, like it involved a lot of liquids or cutting out entire food groups,
Like a juicing diet.
or intermittent fasting, if that's not a way of life for you, which it isn't for most people, or it doesn't give you options for weddings or events. So then it's going to take more time and be more difficult to transition out of that into a normal maintenance plan, into a normal way of life.
So Yossi, how do we do maintenance?
And I want to discuss specifically rules that apply more for maintenance than weight loss, because I could give you general dieting advice that applies to dieting and maintenance. But I want to focus today specifically on advice that is specific for maintenance, much more so than for dieting, because dieting requires one type of training and maintenance requires a very different type of training. It's 2 different types of expertise. So let me give you specific tips for how to maintain weight.
1.
Weigh yourself every day, unless you have an eating disorder, like we mentioned in the past. And if you weigh yourself every day, that will keep you accountable. That will keep you focused. You'll be much more aware of how you're doing. You won't be able to fool yourself as easily. The weight won't fly up before you turn around. You won't just gain 6 pounds in 1 week because, I weigh myself once a week. No, you're not gaining 6 pounds in 1 week. And you're much more aware of what you eat if you weigh yourself every day.
Right. It is easy to fall into the trap of overconfidence during maintenance. It's very easy. So you need to keep track so you physically see if you're going off.
And weighing yourself only takes 10 seconds a day.
Very, very worthwhile.
By far the most important rule. The next rule is skepticism. Recognize that humans have a 1 in 50 chance of getting to and sustaining a healthy weight, and there's no reason to think otherwise until you prove us wrong. And when people are done losing weight, you know what they tell their nutritionist? If they even speak to their nutritionist, typically they're so far gone by the time they lost their weight because I lost my weight. What discussion should I possibly be needing to have with my nutritionist? After all, maintenance is easy. But let's say you're even talking to your nutritionist. You know what the conversation typically is? I came once a week during my diet, but to maintain weight, should I still come once a week? I don't want to. Could I come once a month? Hello?
That's the wrong question.
That tells me that you are not skeptical.
The right question would be, should I be coming in more often?
Than once a week. And in addition to coming to my nutritionist, what other intervention or treatment should I seek? Should I get a personal trainer? Because we know that exercise, we're going to mention soon, is more important during maintenance than it is during weight loss. How do I get more education? How do I deal with stress? Do I need a behavior modification plan? Do I need a controlled systematic program that gets me into a proper maintenance eating plan when I have no experience? I spent my whole life overeating, and then I spent a few months under eating. So now, how in the world am I going to get into a proper maintenance eating plan? And the way you know if you're skeptical is very simple. You go to a lie detector professional.
Right.
And you just hook yourself to the lie detector machine and simply say, 1 in 50 people maintain weight loss. And if the lie detector says that you're saying the truth, then you're fine. You'll be from the 1 in 50. And the people who maintain weight, they actually simply believe that it's not human nature to maintain weight loss. And that's the catch-22. If you simply believe that, you become one of those people who actually do maintain weight.
The third rule for maintenance
is counting calories or tracking whatever you are doing that wasn't on your weight loss plan. In other words, you have to keep track of everything you're doing because you have to see not only what you weigh, we mentioned you weigh yourself every day, but you have to also see what you're eating and learn from that experience.
Right. It's more about being aware of what you eat and recognizing that everything counts. We don't want that at a wedding, for example. Oh, it's free.
Of course, because during the weight loss, I just don't eat by a wedding. And on maintenance, I don't need to lose weight, so of course I'll eat by the wedding. And it doesn't count because I could eat whatever I want by the wedding, right?
Yeah, this reminds me of a joke. How did separate seating come to be? There was once a Rosh Hashiva. He comes with his wife to a wedding. He sits down, he sees some cake, he eats a piece of cake. He takes a second piece of cake. His wife is looking at him.
She's not happy.
He ignores her glances. He takes a third piece. She moves the plate away. He takes a fourth piece and she says, "What are you doing? It's your fourth piece of cake already." That's it, he says. We need to have separate seating by Simchas. This made-up story, obviously, is telling us.
I'm happy you said that story is made up. I don't want Rosh Yeshiva to shy away from coming to my practice.
Right, of course. So this made-up story is telling us that people like to eat without accountability. I mean, I have people who will make deliveries to the camp where I work, the kitchen, and they'll ask for food because they can't eat what they want at home because the wife doesn't let. So they make the delivery to somewhere they know they can find food.
Well,
they don't want accountability, and they're definitely not tracking what they're eating. And if you don't track, you could gain that 6 pounds in 1 week without noticing.
And technique number 4 to train yourself to maintain weight is exercise. Because metabolism slows down with age, and it especially slows down with inactivity. And because at your new low weight, you don't burn calories from basic living. People who are overweight, walking burns calories. Standing burns calories. Thinking burns calories. Someone who's thin doesn't burn so many calories. It's not strenuous for them to exist. So you have to exercise. And typically, even an hour a week is enough. And finally, set a panic weight.
A weight by which you actually panic and stop whatever you're doing and do what you have to do to get below that weight.
And typically, the panic weight is about 5 pounds higher than the weight you're looking to maintain. And if you see that number, panic. Stop what you're doing. And you should set that weight based on the Jewish calendar. Meaning, if someone's maintenance weight is 180, let's say,
right,
their maintenance weight on an Erev Yontif should be 180, and on a Matzi Yontif should be up to 185. Sukkot and Pesach could be 185, Shavuos and Rosh Hashanah could be 182, etc.
You don't want to hit your panic weight before you enter a situation like Pesach.
Right, and if this 180-pound person is 189 on a Matzah Pesach, that's not a reason to panic either, because you give yourself 5 pounds more Matzah Pesach to panic at. So that panic weight does depend on the time of year. And why is this so important? Because people who gain weight, they always have the same story. Well, I gained 3 pounds the first week, and then I kind of went on my diet and lost 1, and then I think I gained 4, but I wasn't really weighing myself. But then I saw the number 6 pounds, and I said, okay, what does it matter, 6 pounds or 7 pounds? Basically, the weight creeps up, and you go through a bunch of different stages. You even go through a denial phase where you tell yourself you don't even mind that you're gaining weight, and you feel funny because I never thought I wouldn't mind gaining weight, but it's really denial. If you set a line in the sand that if I cross this number, then you're much more likely to stop the weight from climbing up, because otherwise, what's the difference between pound number 4 and 5 and 5 and 6 and 6 and 7 and so on?
There's always an excuse. You create this line in the sand, or really this brick wall in the sand, and you just don't go past it.
Now, we did mention that a lot of people set their goal weight as a more difficult weight to achieve than they're realistically capable of. And on top of that, they're even more likely to set their maintenance weight at a weight that is unrealistic for them to maintain weight. So it's very likely that this person who set the goal at 180 is not capable of maintaining 180. So if the panic weight is 185, what do? So you have to go to a professional and reassess if your maintenance weight is unrealistically harsh. But don't just change your panic weight, your ideal weight, a pound every time you gain a pound. That's not the answer.
And just like with weight loss, maintenance requires a regimented eating plan.
Yeah, maintenance requires a regimented eating plan. And maintenance is much more psychological than physical. It's more psychological as in sustaining motivation, staying focused, accepting disappointments,
Dealing with stress.
dealing with emotional eating. And you should know that there are two phases of maintenance. A lot of what I'm talking about, going on a scale every day and keeping track of what you eat, these are not necessarily things that you have to do for life. If we go through the beginning of maintenance, you can train yourself to be somewhat normal afterwards. There are two phases of maintenance. There's the critical phase at the beginning of maintenance, and then there's the lifestyle phase, which is after you get through the critical phase.
How long does the critical phase last?
That depends on how much weight you lost. It's 1 week per pound lost. So if someone lost 20 pounds, the critical phase is 20 weeks, and then afterwards, they go into the lifestyle phase. If you lost 100 pounds, then your critical phase is 2 years. If you go through the critical phase, that is typically enough time to practice being normal.
You develop the habit of maintaining properly.
And as far as what a regimented eating plan on maintenance is, and again, this is not forever. You might want to keep your original plan and add calories to your original plan. Maybe you get 1,000 extra calories a week, or maybe you get 200 extra calories a day, but you simply add calories to your plan. So the take-home message for today is that if you want to maintain weight, you need a very specific type of training. The way you train yourself is by going on the scale every day, being skeptical, tracking what you eat, exercising, and setting a panic weight. Get yourself educated about maintaining so that you know how serious to take it. Understand that it's a process, and the fact that you need a specific type of training and it doesn't happen automatically, don't let that stop you from losing weight, and know about the two phases, the critical phase and the lifestyle phase. The critical phase is where you train yourself for normal eating, and that's also a good goal. There is an end to maintenance because there's the end to the critical phase of going from someone who is almost certainly going to gain their weight back to someone who is almost certainly not going to gain their weight back. Once someone gets through the critical phase, statistically, it is extremely unlikely for them to gain the weight back.
And that obviously is the goal that we all want to reach.
And that brings us to the end of this episode.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you join us next time.
Who says there's going to be a next time?
That's a good question. So if not, then we hope you go back to this episode and all the others. And if you do that, you will be well on your way to success.